people of the Northland. We are here in beautiful Grand Marais on Lake Superior. We've got, no shortage of good views over here. Talking with voters today, Grand Marais wants a solidly blue stronghold. I don't know, Ben, after talking with some people at the doors, they want lower taxes. They're tired of the restrictions on the forestry, timber, and mining industries. They love their environment and understand that we can utilize the abundance of natural resources we have in northern Minnesota. I don't know, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think that, look, this is a difficult area for the Republican Party. But the thing is that when people like President Trump, and for people who are running for office up here like Thomas Manninen, it's not about exactly winning this area, but it's about narrowing down that difference between Republicans and Democrats. Today, for example, I talked to a person who never voted in her life, and now this year she is voting Republican. And that is the main issue here, is that we are trying to get as many people as possible in greater Minnesota to vote. And we are looking forward to a less blue area this November.
People are fed up with the failed Walz administration and legislators who just have a sworn allegiance to him and won't break party ties to better the Northland. I'm seeking to be that voice November 3rd. Let's go victory for Trump, victory for me, and Republicans up and down the ballot.
Just in case you haven't noticed, the two candidates are in navy blue and camel, so they're easy to figure out if you know which one is which. Thank you. The speakers can take their masks off.
And Chris and I didn't color coordinate this. This is just one of those happy accidents. I'd like to start off by pointing out that this virus is the laziest virus on the planet, because the difference between safe and not safe is apparently one of these. So, my goodness, it has to step its game up. So hello, my name is Thomas Manninen. I am running for the Minnesota State House of Representatives here in District 3A. I am from Little Fork, which is at the other end of the district, 4 hours to the west of where we currently are. But it's fall, beautiful colors. We're starting to get those pretty leaves, and it was a beautiful drive up here. And it was great to talk with some of the voters in Grand Marais. I'm sure many of you are aware of all of the Black Lives Matter, Joe Biden, Tina Smith signs that you see throughout the city. But, yeah. But trust me. The people, the voters of Grand Marais that we talked to at the doors are very supportive of the president. Some of them, they say we're not going to visually show our support of the president just because they don't want to stir the pot, but they are out there. We are in the silent majority in Minnesota, and on November 3rd, we are going to re-elect Donald J. Trump and send 10 electoral votes from Minnesota. Now, the reason why I'm running is because I really think that in greater Minnesota, the time for us to reach historically blue areas is upon us. And we have a great message. For 3 days, we had to watch the city of Minneapolis burn as the governor did nothing. He abdicated his duty to protect the public, and now he wants greater Minnesota to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's wrong, but it doesn't stop there, because that's just one example that's out in the eyes of the public for all to see. There are other very radical, dangerous things that are currently happening, and I'll tell you one of them. Who here supports law enforcement?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm glad to see it, that we back the blue here. But it's important. Does anybody know what the 1619 Project is? The New York Times? For those who don't know, the 1619 Project is something that the New York Times has undertaken. What it is a misrepresentation of American history. They claim that children in our country should be taught that instead of America, the United States of America, being founded in 1776, that our founding should be traced back to 1619, when the first slave from the British slave trade came to North America. Well, House Democrats, the House-controlled DFL, passed a bill saying that racism is a public health crisis, and that chattel slavery from 1619
is what embeds racism into the founding of the United States of America. And this is some of the most radical legislation in response to the death of George Floyd. They decide to tell American police officers, we don't have your back, and we are going to cow down to the mob that just burnt down our city, burnt down Minneapolis. Right. And we're not going to just allow them to do this, but we are going to reinforce their claims. And unfortunately, Representative Eklund voted for this legislation. He claims he's pro-mining and pro-timber, but he belongs to a party that will suppress and vote out any chance we have at supporting these industries. How effective can a legislator be if he's constantly fighting with his party? You know, we have two projects up here in the Iron Range, Twin Metals and Polymet, and the promise is that it can deliver these precious minerals we have an abundance of in northern Minnesota. This is unique to the world. Copper, nickel, cobalt, iron. We have these right below our feet. We can do it safely, we can do it efficiently, and we can finally be self-reliant, no longer have to go to China to get our steel, no longer go to all these other countries to get our copper and nickel. And it sustains and provides good-paying jobs for the people of this district. So if we're just going to send a legislator who's going to propose, hey, well, let's support Twin Metals, and Speaker Hortman's going to say no, and they're going to vote it down, what good does that do us? Which is why I'm looking forward to the opportunity to crafting legislation to work with House Republicans to be able to support the industries that keep this area alive. The timber industry, something that's very dear to my heart. You go to Kuching County and here in Cook County, rich history of timber and logging. And they say the same thing when I speak to people who are heads of logging companies and loggers. They say what we desperately need is new timber markets. This is how the timber industry can go from struggling to surviving, is by supplying, supporting new timber markets. And unfortunately, I hear the same thing. Not only did the Obama-Biden economy decimate and close down paper mills, decimate and put the brave men and women who go out and log, put them in dire straits. But now when they say, we need help, they're not getting the kind of zealous advocation that they need. And I'm looking to be that advocate. I'm going to go down and support the trades that make our area great. I'm not going to bow down to the radical environmentalists that have taken over the Democratic Party. And I'm sure as heck not going to swear allegiance to a governor who thinks that we're just rocks and cows. It's disgusting, and I will stand up for the people of this district and not to lawyers and bureaucrats and Governor Pauls down in St. Paul. So thank you guys very much. I would just like to note, I have signs, some smaller signs on the back there. If you live on a highway property, I also have 3-foot, a little bit larger signs. I've got those with me. I'd love to give them to you so you can show your support. If you've got any questions for me, I can take them now. Otherwise, thank you for inviting me to your home, and let's lead Republicans up and down the ballot to victory this November, and let's bring back the North. Yes.
In that legislation, the 1619 project, did they vote that the schools in Minnesota needed to have this in their schools?
Yes, no, they did not. They didn't. This wasn't an education bill. This was a police reform bill. The important part with regards to the 1619 project, though, is it instantiates it into law. It recognizes it and gives it validity when historians who are Ivy League scholars, not necessarily card-carrying Republicans, have discredited this project and say, it's a complete misrepresentation of history. But the House Democrats don't care about that. They just wanted to appease the mob. But it wasn't. But the president came out and said any school curriculum, any state curriculum that is going to teach the 1619 project won't receive federal money, and that deserves a round of applause.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Looks like we have some weather that might be coming in. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be here afterwards. But yeah, do you want Chris Hogan to speak next? Here is my favorite state senate candidate of all time, a guy who is more than qualified, and a guy who will defeat Tom Bach, Chris Hogan.
Thank you, Tom. My name is Chris Hogan, and I'm running for State Senate District 3. It's the largest Senate district in the state of Minnesota, almost 13,000 square miles, from Birchdale to Grand Portage, down the shore, south of Two Harbors. I live north of Two Harbors, about 5 miles, just past Betty's Pies. My wife and I live there. Have a gift shop. We've been there for 2 years. We've owned the business for 4 years. But I grew up in International Falls. So this is my home district. I was telling a gentleman earlier, I grew up, I came out of my mother's womb a conservative. I've never been a DFLer. And I started to follow politics really closely in 1996 when I was a sophomore in college, and got active in the Republican Party in 2001, and I've been active in BPOU as I was chair of Couchiching County. If you remember when Cheney was up in International Falls, that was our group. So, anyways, Bob Lassard was the senator for Senate District 3, and of course the lines were different at that time, and I was a friend of Bob, so I've always considered Senate District 3 my home. Grew up in International Falls on the shores of Rainy Lake, still recreate there, vacation, spend my leisure time there with family. People have asked me early on, friends asked me, not sarcastically, they were dead serious, how can you be so insane to run against Tom Bach? Why would you choose to run against Senator Bach? Because he's been there a long time, very powerful DFLer, or he was a very powerful DFLer. And it took me a few minutes, and I came up with not one reason, but many reasons. I've been a commercial lender for the last 20 years. I was a loggers lender, initially starting in 1999 up in Couchiching County. The loggers of Couchiching County, I've always said, are the best people anywhere. And I've dealt with small businesses, loggers, trucking companies, real estate developers for the last 20 years. International Falls, Bemidji for 5 years. I've been in the Twin Ports market for the last 10 years. That gives me a unique perspective to I understand the struggles that small businesses have, the struggles that families in our district have, and the struggles that industry has. Another reason I'm running is it's so important that Republicans or people that will fight for rural and small town areas, Republicans, keep the Minnesota Senate. We don't hold it by that much. We're not expected to lose it, but we must keep the Minnesota Senate.
Yeah.
And if you see the newcomers coming up in the DFL party that are replacing people such as Eric Simonson, the people that are running against, Justin Eichhorn, and the people that are coming up in the DFL, they are the new party, and they represent the base of that party, the National Democrats and the DFL, and the DFL is the party. And I've said it for years, and I guess that the two phrases that I use to describe the party are politically incorrect. I'm not sure why. I can't think of a more accurate way to describe them. But the DFL is the party of radical environmentalists and secular progressives or cultural Marxists. And they simply just don't represent the people up in District 3. So another reason I'm running is my admiration for President Trump. I love the Trump administration. And I believe that if we have Republican representation with Tom Manninen in the House, myself in the Minnesota Senate, working with the majority and our great Representative Pete Stauber, soon to be elected Jason Lewis, and working with the Trump administration and local leaders, we can get things really fired up in Senate District 3. I'm running because I've seen a lot of our communities, maybe not Grand Marais, but a lot of the communities in Senate District 3, I've seen them decay. In International Falls in the 60s, 300 kids graduated from Falls High. When I graduated in the early 90s, 150 kids graduated from Falls High. Now 75 kids graduate from Falls High. And whether you go to Babbitt, Silver Bay, or International Falls, many of our communities are in dire straits. I know that Representative Eklund and Senator Bach, they say they're pro-mining. Polymet's going on 17 years. Enbridge Line 3 extension, which was delayed by Governor Dayton a number of times, was just delayed again a couple weeks ago by Governor Waltz. You don't hear any condemnation from Senator Bach. Although they say they're pro-mining, they're certainly not conservative. Tom brought up the fact, it's interesting when you point to Eklund's votes, but the reality is, Senator Bach, I believe he's a very nice man and appreciate the years of service he's given our region. However, he's been a party boss, which comes with that political shenanigans. I'm not interested in that, and I'm not interested in being down there 25 years. I'm interested in going down there. I'm only 44 years old. I'm not tired of fighting for mining. I want to go down there and fight for Senate District 3. It's not that Senator Bach has not done anything for our area. If you're there 25 years, he's been a senator for 10 years, but prior to that, he was a representative. You're going to accomplish some things. Being a powerful person in the DFL, he supported bonding bills that built ice arenas and you name it in Alexandria, Rochester, St. Cloud, every place under the sun. The Stewart River Sewer Project has been approved, and the plans have been approved for 10 years. It's a relatively small project. That's in his district, but he told me in a letter it's not high enough on the chain to get approved. Well, I'm not interested in funding things in other parts of the state, and I'm not interested in government programs. Senator Bach and Representative Eklund, they love government programs. They've never seen one that they don't like. Taxes, regulations, government programs, welfare programs for the Twin Cities, art programs, refugee resettlement programs. They've never seen a program that they don't like. I'm going down there to fight for conservative principles and for Senate District 3. If you look at the economic metrics, household incomes, class sizes, economic opportunity for our youth, educational opportunities, new homes, whatever economic metric you want to look at, in most of our communities, we are lagging the state of Minnesota. We're lagging most places in the country. From an economic metric standpoint, we're poor, yet we have so many resources. The copper, nickel, cobalt reserves in northern St. Louis County, our timber resources, and all of the assets in our community. We're rich, yet we're poor. So we need to get things fired up, and I've been cut off, so remember, November 3rd, vote Hogan, because northern Minnesota matters.
On the entire state, who's going to help us turn Minnesota red? Ben.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. First things first, I want to give a big round of applause to the people who were sign waving out there on the street right next to the Black Lives Matter counter protesters. The best thing about people who are going out there right now that are sign waving in a city like Grand Marais, where this is a pretty strong Democrat area, they have the guts to stand up and fight for a way of life here. The weather obviously Obviously, tonight is not our friend, and that's unfortunate. But what is fortunate is that we're all here to win Minnesota for President Donald J. Trump. So I'm Ben Abrahamson, and I'm the field organizer for Minnesota Trump Victory for St. Louis County, Itasca, Coochin, Cook, and Lake counties. Okay, but you have to turn it off. Getting hit by the rain here. So people here might be asking, what does a field organizer do? A field organizer is responsible for organizing events in the area that they represent and try and build camaraderie for the Republican Party. I'm also responsible for all the voter contact that happens in this area. For example, today I was door knocking with Thomas Manninen, and we knocked a little over 100 doors. The responses were good, but people here are scared to tell others who they're voting for this November. We are the silent majority, everybody. Yeah. We are the silent majority. But this year, when we have a chance to win Minnesota, we can't be scared anymore. You gotta get out there and fight. You gotta get out there and fight for what's right, and that is protecting our conservative values, both locally and nationally. That's why we're very lucky to have people like Isaac Schultz, who are working with great men like Congressman Pete Stauber, who are fighting for a way of life in Washington, D.C. right now. We also have people who want to fight at the state capitol, like Thomas Manninen and Chris Hogan. So what can we do to return that favor for all of that?
Vote for him.
Yes, it is voting for them. But number two is spreading the word for them. We can't do it alone. This is not a one-man army game. We need to get out there beyond social media. There is no price tag on the conversations that are at the doors. No price tag. That is where you win elections. That is where you win for President Trump. That is where you win for Congressman Pete Stauber, Thomas Manninen, and Chris Hogan. It is not won by sitting back and being quiet. That is why events like this, it's great, because none of you were scared to come out tonight and fight for what's right. Age doesn't matter. We're all here for one thing, and that is a red state. We have 39 days left until Election Day. Time's dwindling down to the most important election of our lives. And I beg all of you, I beg each and every one of you to come forward, to help fight, to help win Minnesota for President Donald Trump. Yes. So, this is my first event up here. There's plenty more to come. I'm very tense. Thank you very much for getting this together as well.
Yeah.
We need to win this year, everybody. This election is more important than any other in history.
And we're going to win.
And we are going to win. I can't stress that enough. So please come forward before you leave. Let's get our boots on the ground. Let's re-elect Donald J. Trump for four years. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
One more thing. Let's say the pledge. We didn't do that right away. We'll say it loud.
Like the United States of America.
Justice for all.